This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about. Real, honest, entertaining, live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It's Monday, June 21st. Look at this lovely setup here. We got Erica, we got Lindsay, we got Tori. We are here to start your week off well. Let's get it started. We're about a month away from the Olympics in Tokyo, and officials there just decided that some local fans can come and watch. Yay! Woo. No one's excited about the Olympics.
That's great.
They're limiting attendance to 50% capacity, and fans will not be allowed to cheer. Meantime, for the first time in history, the first openly transgender athlete qualified for the Games. This is Laurel Hubbard, and she lifted 628 pounds twice to qualify in the women's super heavyweight lifting category. Now, she's representing New Zealand, and she says she's grateful and humbled by the kindness and support she's been given. But as you can imagine, her qualification has split many folks. Many are supporting her, while others are saying, hey, this is unfair. Because one Belgian weightlifter who will likely compete against her said this, quote, anyone that has trained weightlifting at a high level knows this to be true in their bones. This particular situation is unfair to the sport and to the athletes. While another person tweeted, I am in awe of Laurel Hubbard's courage. This is such an incredibly important decision for moving towards more inclusive sport. Ooh, I got a lot to say. I'm wanting to know what you guys think. Such a hot topic. Linz, what's your take on this?
So I always try to watch my words here just because I don't want to get attacked on Twitter, but I do think that it's important to know that biology is very important in sports. And even though there are testosterone tests and things and qualifications to make Laurel be able to compete, there are still studies that show that there are levels of strength and durability and things that happen in males that are not happening in females at certain levels of their life, and they still have some of those things in their body and are able to compete at higher levels. So I think for people to be frustrated who are operating and competing as a woman who was born that way, I think that I get that stance. And I think, you know, especially at the Olympics, when you've trained your whole life to get here, to compete against somebody that was operating as a male for 35 years, and now she's 43 competing as a woman, is definitely something that would be jarring for me.
That's fair and honest. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I understand from the standpoint of an athlete who may have missed qualification based on the fact that Laurel did qualify. That has to be incredibly frustrating. But at the end of the day, when you look at the criteria that needs to be met in order for you to perform at this level in the Olympics, it's vast.
Yeah, it's pretty strict, very strict.
So especially when we're having these conversations about local level, when people want to put their own ideas into it, really when we're talking about biology, it's what's happening in that moment. And what's happening with her body in that moment makes her a female able to compete in a female sport. I also think that it's incredibly inspiring just based on the fact that, you know, a lot of people were hoping that Caitlin would step into this role. You know, Bruce Jenner was a phenomenal Olympian.
Yeah, decathlete, yep.
Weren't represented in that way. So I think that representation does matter, and I think she deserves to be there.
Both of you said perfect points, and I'm going to tell you how I feel because I'm a little mixed on this, and I don't know what's right to say, so I'm going to be careful, but I'm just coming from the heart here. I think it's okay for high school. I don't feel comfortable at the Olympic level with this because of bone density and biology, like you said, and it leads to endorsements, it leads to real money, it leads to affecting careers. So I don't know if this is wrong to say, but I don't feel it's fair in my heart, and I don't know if that's because I'm not used to it or if it's because I think this is too professional a level to allow someone who's had the bone density of a man for all those years to come in and take a spot. But I could be wrong, so please write me in. I'd love to hear your opinion. And if you are a transgender athlete, we'd love to hear from you. All right, check out what this bartender did in Florida to help a woman who was getting harassed. I'm sure you saw this. The woman tweeted this picture of a bartender handing her a note, pretending it was her receipt. She said she and her friend were getting harassed by a man at the bar. So the note says this: if the guy is bothering you, put your ponytail on your other shoulder and I will have him removed. He's given me the creeps. Now, the bartender did end up having the man removed. Meantime, the woman said, this is the type of bartender everyone needs. Now, I have a picture for you, Erica. This is actually in a Hooters, where I know you previously worked and are proud to have worked. I'm very proud of her for working in Hooters.
To me.
She was a Hooters girl.
Oh, yeah.
So this is in Hooters in the female bathroom. And if you feel uncomfortable, you can ask for an angel shot. And if you ask for it neat, they will escort you to your vehicle. If you ask for it with ice, the bartender will call you a lift. And if you ask for it with lime, they will call the police. And I think it's a really smart idea to be preventative, just like this bartender. Aren't you proud of Hooters?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yes.
That's amazing. That actually is amazing.
You know, I was a bartender for many years, and you would get these situations where someone was visibly unsafe or felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I mean, this was like nearly 20 years ago, but there were times where we definitely escorted people out the back because they have said something to indicate that they needed to get away from the person that they were with. It's especially when there's alcohol involved. You just don't know where a situation is going to go. Another thing would be if there was a female who might have been intoxicated and seemingly there alone. People are out for predatory reasons, especially with people who are vulnerable. So I think not only should you advocate for yourself, but also just kind of look around and just be a good Samaritan in a compromising situation to be like, hey, maybe this one needs an angel shot with ice.
Right. Did you think, and this is not to be sexist, but do you think you picked up on that because you're a female? Do you think that it's different for male or females? And I know that's kind of a controversial topic, and Lindsay, I want your take on that.
No, I definitely would put myself more in the position of the woman than of the man.
Yeah.
But I mean, the truth is, it can happen to men too.
Yeah.
And I think the bartender passing the note is like perfect because I've been in a situation where I'm like, okay, get away from me. It hasn't been like a life or death, but I haven't wanted somebody near me. But then I've also been in the situation where I'm telling whoever I'm with to jump in and go check on somebody, and the person's like, get away from my table.
I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm fine. So I feel like the bartender did it in a slick enough way that
Very
it didn't
slick.
make everybody uncomfortable. Like the man wasn't like that was minding his business, wasn't like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
And the girl probably wasn't put off. She probably was like, yes or no.
Totally. And just a quick story. I know that I had a girl yelling, where am I? Where am I? And the guy was not telling her, and she was trying to get an Uber out. And I was in the apartment above. I don't know these people. They live below me. But just like you said, she's not consenting to where she is. It just spidey senses.
Right.
So I ran downstairs. I said, excuse me. I just told her the address, went right back upstairs. If you can help someone out that way, because if you can feel that spidey sense, that's the Oprah sensation.
But you also need to be very careful. I mean, we've seen numerous viral videos of men approaching women. They don't want to be approached. They may tell them they're not interested, and then they get violent.
Yes.
I mean, just last week, a man pulled a gun on a table full of women who were dining outside of a restaurant because he approached the table and wanted one of the girls' numbers, and she declined him. So you have to be really, really careful because there are people out there who are just ready to start something and become violent. So I think the discretion is paramount.
Very, very good discussion. All right. Whose phone was that?
Not mine.
Not mine. Erica, we're good. All right. One of the Navy's newest ships, an aircraft carrier, underwent a full ship shock trial to make sure it was ready for battle. So if you don't know what this means, because I don't, check out this video they released. Take a look. They exploded almost 20 tons of explosives just meters away from the ship. It was so big it recorded a 3.9 magnitude earthquake off the Florida coast.
I understand the need to do stuff like this, I guess, if you're trying to progress the things that we're building, but this is ridiculous. I'm just like, I tried to digest the story and really read it from like a making sense point, but like people in Florida, weren't they alarmed?
I know.
I mean, this
that looked like an atomic bomb.
What happened to the fishies?
That's why I thought how many fish were killed, or like what's going on
You guys, I
here?
didn't even think of the fishies.
That crossed my mind when
You
I tried to make
did?
sense of this video, yeah.
Oh,
But I guess we know
no.
that that ship can make it through that situation.
Look at this. That's a shock wave that's ridiculous. All right, well, I'm glad that this ship knows it can withstand that, but I don't know, maybe we could help people who are homeless as well. I don't know.
Oh man, here we go.
I know, everyone's gonna come at me. Coming up on DVL, inside the dangerous and varied world of black market babies. One survivor shares her own experience of being sold at birth. That's right, don't go away.
Closed captioning provided by
A lot of workers are quitting their jobs right now, and that could mean higher pay for you. Let's connect the dots. Americans are quitting at a record rate. Nearly 4 million left their jobs in April, according to the Bureau of Labor. That's an unprecedented number in the 2 decades they've been tracking this data. There are a lot of reasons people are calling it quits. Some are looking for better pay, others want to keep working from home post-pandemic, and some are just dissatisfied with their work's culture. And with the tight labor market, many workers are confident they can find a better job. All those resignations mean companies will have to pay up to retain good workers. Companies from Bank of America to Walmart have already announced they're increasing wages. According to experts, if these numbers continue, wages will grow 3.5% this year. That's the fastest increase in 13 years. But not everyone's chasing a bigger paycheck. The other increase experts are seeing is the birth of new businesses. The business formation rate is the highest it's been in 15 years. These budding new moguls report the appeal of being their own boss outweighs concerns about stability.
Welcome back to DBL. Jane Blasio spent decades researching her own adoption, but before she could find her story, she had to uncover her birth doctor's deep, dark secret: black market adoptions involving hundreds of babies. Earlier, Sam spoke with Jane about her remarkable journey to the truth.
Jane, welcome to DBL. So you have spent decades investigating your adoption, but you first knew your family's story was different at the age of 6. What happened, and how did your adoptive parents answer your questions?
Well, my sister and I, she was also from the Hicks Clinic, had heard some kids on the playground calling us black market. So when you're 6 years old, what do you know about black market? Nothing. And actually, when you're 26, you shouldn't know anything about black market. But that's how we first learned about it. And I can remember my parents had called me in from the yard I was playing, and I went into the living room and sat down, and Michelle was there, and she was crying. And they said, you know, the kids on the playground said black market. We just want you to know that you were adopted, and there's nothing wrong with that. And basically that was it. And a 6-year-old wants to run and get away from any drama. I did anyway. And so I'm like, okay, cool, I'm out. And I went out and left at that point.
Let's start with the investigation that eventually led you to Georgia, where you found out about Dr. Hicks and his clinic. What specifically did you discover?
So what happened was when I turned 18, I went to search for my birth family. And so I started making trips down to Georgia. There were women from the town and from different states would come to his clinic for either an abortion or the adoption. Sometimes he talked a woman into changing from an abortion into an adoption. Some of the mothers were told that their babies had died, that they had come there to have a baby at his clinic, and that he would tell them that it died and then he would sell it.
Wow.
Yeah, so there were just so many different scenarios on what he did. But we know that he did anything that he could to get his hands on a baby to be able to sell it. So
the abuse of power, the trauma,
yeah.
Dr. Hicks was never charged for these black market adoptions. He did lose his license for performing abortions, which at the time were illegal. But it's safe to say that people in his small town knew about the adoptions, but they never saw him as a villain. So help us all wrap our heads around that.
This was a town doctor. This was a man that when you had the flu, he came to your house and he helped you. When you had a baby and, you had your husband was there to protect you and to be there with you and needed him to come to your home, he was there for that. And if you couldn't pay him, he would take eggs, he would take vegetables, he would barter if he knew you couldn't afford it. So this was a man that he had some light to him.
Right.
Whether or not that worked out for everybody, it worked out for him. So you had half of the town that thought that he was he was angelic. But then you had the other half of the town that knew what he was doing with kind of all his shady stuff. And they knew better. So there wasn't a time when I spoke to anyone that there was any middle ground. It was either he was horrible or he was wonderful.
Wow.
So it was very intriguing and confusing when it came to investigating and trying to find the information that I needed.
When we come back, Jane reveals the latest on her search for her biological parents and the biggest question that still haunts her today. Stay with us.
In the online world of viral creations, videos and pictures are shared billions of times, but it's hard to know who was the first to do the dance.
So what we're doing now is protecting the origin point of where this creativity is coming from.
These viral dances on TikTok from creators Blanco Brown, Cookie Kawaii, and Jalea Harmon have been shared more than 10 billion times. Now, a company called Jadu is creating holograms of the dances to be auctioned off this weekend as NFTs, or non-fungible tokens. Simply put, they're ways to buy and claim ownership of digital art. Everyone can still watch the dances, but only one person will own the original. They'll also help creators monetize viral crazes.
Historically, Black culture has been exploited or underrepresented, specifically in creative art and abstract pieces that are brought and shared with the world.
Isaiah Chavis is a recent CU Boulder grad and former class president there. Now he's working for Jadu to create the first hologram NFT that people can buy. The auction began on Juneteenth to make sure Black creators earn credit for the viral videos they create.
The purpose of this, right, is to not only give social credit, but to create avenues of monetary gain and profit for these artists.
Jake Sally is the COO of Jadu, an augmented reality hologram company. As videos are shared and replicated around the world, the goal of the NFT auction will be to give Black creators the credit they're due.
Originally, you had this dance that was created, people took it, made their own dances with it. Now you're able to actually do the dance with the original creator as a hologram.
A world inside of a phone, now becoming profitable for all.
Welcome back to DBL. We've been chatting with Jane Blasio, a woman who went on the search for her biological parents and uncovered a black market adoption ring involving at least 200 babies. And when those lies started to unravel, how did you feel, and were you angry at your adoptive parents?
No one likes to be lied to.
Right.
I don't care for what reason, unless it's a surprise birthday party. I think any other lie just is not good. No one likes it. And I can remember growing up and at times being frustrated, but these are my parents. How could I not love them? How could I be angry? But there's this burning anger inside, and it fuels searching. But as the information started coming to me as I got older, then I found forgiveness for them.
Wow.
But yeah, I was angry. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's...
Yeah. I think it's normal.
Yeah, of course it is. And that just speaks to your character to find forgiveness. I mean, unbelievable. And, speaking of which, Dr. Hicks died in 1972. So you were never able to address him like you did your parents, right? You never able to confront him. If you could have, what would you have said?
If he and I were here together right now, we would be sitting down, probably drinking a beer, and I would be asking him the hard questions, because I'd have no problem asking him the hard questions. And I think that he would be truthful with me, because what I know of his character and what he's done over the years, I don't think that he thought for a minute that he did anything wrong. or would have been caught doing it. So I think that he would be pretty straight with me, and I would be getting some of the answers that I had been seeking for all those decades.
You would deserve to get those answers, as well as so many of those other adopted children. You've learned about Dr. Hicks over the years. What was the biggest question that still haunts you today?
How many babies didn't get out of the clinic?
Wow.
How many?
Elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
Oh, he was known for his abortions.
Right.
He was also known for late term. There were a lot of us in the group that were preemies. So, was he really pushing the envelope? Was he pushing that risk factor of, well, I need to have a baby to sell, so she's 7 months along, is it going to be viable? Let's see if we can induce.
Wow.
And then the baby's viable, I can sell it. So it's in his mind, was he justifying a late-term abortion so that he could sell the baby? And so for me, in my heart, it's twofold. How many babies didn't get out? And then what happened to those mothers?
Right. And when it comes to your story, have all your questions been answered? What more do you feel like you need to learn?
So I'm smiling because I'd say 99% of my my questions have been answered. And that's all detailed in the book. But I think what's most important, and I've learned this over the years, is that I've got the answers, but the most important thing was the journey.
You found your birth parents. Is that right, Jane?
Well, I found my birth story. It's in the book in detail, and I don't want to.
So should we say
if I start talking about it, we'll be.
Should we say stay tuned? Get the
Stay
book?
tuned.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good cliffhanger to our DBL Nation right now. And I hope it was cathartic for you writing about it. But to our DBL Nation, I know that you probably have unanswered questions like I do. To learn more about Jane's remarkable story, get her book, Taken at Birth, Stolen Babies, Hidden Lies, and My Journey to Finding Home. Now, it comes out this summer, but you can pre-order it right now on Amazon.com. Jane, thank you so much for joining us and just being so transparent.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
We received this question. Has there been an uptick in women freezing their eggs during the pandemic? Let's verify. Our sources are the American Society for Reproductive Medicine and founder of the Carolinas Fertility Institute, Dr. Tamir Yalcinkaya, also known as Dr. Y.
So have you been seeing this in your practice?
We had also noticed this, and we actually analyzed our volume of patients coming in before COVID and compared it during the COVID and during this recent reopening. And we have noticed a fourfold increase in the number of patients requesting fertility preservation.
Again, what are the main reasons do you think women are freezing their eggs right now?
Most of the reason that they state is that they've been thinking about this and they had more time to reflect for some time and hadn't made it a priority, and during COVID, working from home.
According to the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, biologically, it's easier to get pregnant before age 30. However, due to professional, social, or health reasons, a woman might not be ready to get pregnant at that time, and she might want to defer having a child until the time is right for her. Dr. Y says if a patient is paying out of pocket, it costs roughly $6,000, and that's not including added medication.
With advancing age in the female, especially between age 33, 34 onwards, a woman continues to lose the number of eggs that she was born with.
According to the American Society for Reproductive Medicine, egg freezing typically works best for those in their 20s to early 30s, and it's not usually recommended for women over the age of 38. So we can verify. As for the Carolinas Fertility Institute, there has been an increase in egg freezing since the pandemic, but research hasn't been done as to why, and it may be different for every woman. For your Verify, I'm Sarah French.
Welcome back to DBL. When it comes to your health, starting a new routine can be tough. So we're sharing 3 tips that will make being healthy easier in DBL's Focus on Fitness presented by QB. First, cook for a crowd, even if you're eating alone. Making healthy meals every night can be exhausting, so just do it once, twice a week, but in large portions so you have leftovers and you can cook less. Just don't have nachos, like me. Next, jot down motivational notes. Put them on your bathroom mirror. It'll give you a mental boost and confidence to stick to your habits. Lastly, pre-schedule your workouts for the week by putting them on your calendar. You're much more likely to stay committed. Staying active is so important, and QB has made it easy regardless of physical ability or age. Try their under-desk elliptical at home. Call 1-800-782-2351 or visit QB.com. Yeah, cook good food in large portions.
When I do those large portions by Wednesday, I don't want to eat anything like that.
I know.
It's just hard to do.
Yeah.
But
I
you're
get
right.
it.
The
In
leftovers,
theory.
you're like, again.
Right. And then
That's a fair point.
I'm throwing it away the next week.
I freeze a lot of stuff. Not once have I ever defrosted something to eat it. Never. Never.
Yeah.
I have brisket. I have fish. I have tortilla
You
soup.
have the COVID foods that you bought up still in your...
That's exactly what's happening in our house. We got this freezer in the garage, and Anthony has started taking all the meats out of it and defrosting them, and I'm like, I don't want
this
When
defrosted.
did you buy this?
Yeah,
Yeah, because you guys went crazy in like March of last year,
and
you bought enough for the whole town.
We were doing really well, and we were cooking it, but then we stopped, and now I'm like, I don't
want that meat. I don't want that meat. DBL.
We sound ungrateful.
We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.